Well, very good day, ladies and gentlemen, from wherever you're watching us. Welcome to another interesting episode of the Candy Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel on this very cold day. We're having our jackets on. It's quite cold.
Very cold.
We thought that perhaps this cold of July.
This is our winter now.
Our winter here in Kenya right now, definitely. But then the cold is a little bit, even for a young man like me who normally pretends to be tougher than the cold. Today I've been forced to put on this jacket here.
Yes.
We are still talking about how things are taking place in the country. And of course, as usual, our channel does not disappoint. We are up to date, keeping Kenyans actually up to date with everything that is taking place within and without, and even talking to our audience who are actually outside the country. Here we are on this cold day. I listened to your conversation with Jedel Kabiro the other time, and let me just begin from there. Why would you say that the president should meet Raila privately and talk to him? How is that relevant to what people have been going on the streets for?
Because the time is still on his side to get hold of the process and manage it. It is better to manage change than to let change manage you. So we are still in that terrain where the president can manage things, in the sense that he can talk to Raila and they have a settlement that is acceptable to the country. And at the same time, within this time I'm talking about, he can give a few things to the country by way of lowering the cost of living, and it won't fall under the category of too little or too late.
No, my question is, must he talk to Raila in order to do that?
Yes.
Why?
Because there's both the political and the economic question.
Okay.
So if you try to sort out the political question minus the economic question, you won't go far.
So what are we dealing with here?
They are both, and they are so connected. And both of them can be resolved if Raila and Ruto sit down. It's just simple.
If anything is to go by, recently people have gone to the streets majorly because of the high cost of living. That is what the Azimio side talked of. So if at all the president decides, and you've said this quite a number of times on this channel here, that if the president listens to the people and decides to actually act and lower the cost of living, something that you normally tell me doesn't even have to take a lot of time for him to do.
Yes.
So if it's that easy for him to do, why doesn't he just go ahead and do it and ignore Raila?
But people, you know, I've told you cannot ignore Raila because the political question cannot be done with the exclusion of Raila.
So how is the political question tied to the economic question?
They are the same. Yes. they are twins.
So is he sorting out twins. Raila, or is sorting out the cost of living? That is the question.
It is both. It is both. Yes.
So you're saying that Raila has to be sorted first?
Raila is part of the political question and part of the economic question. Yes.
So if
because you see, it's not always that when people are suffering, they come out and riot and push governments out of power. No. There is the issue of sensitization, a development of consciousness. So that's how the politics goes in. To get people who would otherwise have lived with their misery, to see their misery, okay? And that's how Raila comes in. You get it? So, you've commissioned, you must decommission. The French Revolution, for example, shows us, even as the king, Louis XVI, I think, began giving in one after the other to the demands, it was always too little, too late. So in other words, you deal with the Raila in terms of the political question. There are political issues and there are also economic issues. You have to deal with both. And there's time now, not a lot of time. What he can do now, what he could have done 2 months ago as the president, he cannot do now. It is going up until it will get beyond him. It's like high jump. You jump, they add. You jump. Some people knock it down. Others remain, they keep adding. Even for the president, that bar will be put at a point where he cannot jump.
So previously
Yes.
we had this discussion whereby when you look at the previous protest, the reasons were more political than economic, in as much as there were economic questions therein.
Yes, yes.
But then the reasons for that, for those previous demonstrations, were not as specific as this one here right now, which is purely economical. I've seen the likes of the Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna go out there, articulate issues pertaining to the economy, and of course they're talking about the tax regime of the nation. Still, they are still not recognizing the legitimacy of President William Ruto's leadership. But here we are, still. Right now that this is an economic question that has actually led us to where we are here. And the political question that was supposed to be addressed, I saw the president extend an olive branch to the Azimio, and that led to the formation of the bipartisan committee that was supposed to converse on such issues. That did not yield. And right now we found ourselves back here. So when he meets Raila, are they going to talk on those political issues that led them to demonstrations at that time, or the same economic issue that has led them to demonstrations right now?
Both. Just to... But, you know, this is immediate and short term. Yeah? And medium term. But long term, the political question will have to be resolved. At some point, Kenyans will have to sit down and draw a national charter that will guide them, so that every 5 years we don't have this nonsense we are having. You get it? But in the immediate, it is IBC, it is interference with political parties, which they can sort out.
Yeah, that is...
The president can throw these guys under the bus. Kina Tomo Jenda, Kina Jalanga. And that's how politics works.
That is understandable.
That's politics. He will throw them under the bus. He will say they go back for their... You know, the law works. People think law works in a vacuum. Law is subservient to politics. So, the reason why people don't lose their seats, the politics doesn't allow the law to operate. So if the president and Raila were to allow the law to operate, Tomo Jenda, Kanini Kega, Sabina Chege, Jalash, and all those other guys who jumped from Jubilee, from Azimio in general, and ODM, Ken Elisha from those sides of game, all of them will lose their seats. That's number one.
That is addressing the political...
Then the IBC will be constituted in a manner agreed between Raila and Ruto. Then they will talk about, so that you address the masses, that the server will be audited. But the two of them will know auditing the server does not amount to Ruto leaving office. You get it?
Regardless of the outcome of the...
yeah, of course. You know, this is politics. Politics, the driver. Even if you are auditing and the politics is the one driving the auditing, it cannot move in the direction of Ruto leaving State House. You get? And we want to be the first people to go that direction.
These two gentlemen, and I should actually come to an agreement that even if we find that it's Ruto who lost in, according to the...
it's possible.
It still continues.
It is possible. The other side, what you are thinking of is also possible. But then the economic side is very easy, much easier. Yeah, just lowering the cost of living, withdrawing the Finance Act, dropping the CAS appointments. Some of them are my friends that you not hate.
And that is why I was asking you, addressing those economic questions, do they require any sort of dialogue between Raila and the president?
You see, they may, on the face of it, they don't. But if you drop them down, they will not have the impact you want. Too little?
Too late, you say. Well, that is yet to be seen. I'm here and we're here with you. We'll see whether that kind of conversation will be there. But then, Prof, that aside, that notwithstanding, we are having the Azimio La Umoja One Kenya coalition have decided to, actually, I don't know whether they've decided to postpone or call off their demonstrations. But according to what they said, instead of going to the streets to protest, as they normally do, then they've decided to take some sort of a vigil, and this actually begs a lot of questions. Now let's get to the deep. How effective is this night vigil that these people have decided to keep instead of going to the streets as they were going? What is the thinking?
Listen, I threw on this program, I don't know with you or with Jad, the $6 million question, that cliche question. The $6 million question is it possible for Raila and his team to achieve their goal without going to the streets. And I said it's possible. I said it's a question of thinking. And in fact, I offered, if you with you or with Jad, I offered some possibility. And I said, what has transpired so far, if you document it well, you can use it as sufficient pressure on the government, on Ruto, to get what you could have gotten through mass action, without the death, without the destruction. In other words, if your intention was to bring Ruto to talk, you can force him on the table by merely documenting what has happened and using it both internationally, locally, UN and all other, including ICC. So with this, we have sufficient on you. But because we are talking about this country, let's not go the route of ICC. Let's not go this route. Let's sit down and talk about our country. That is possible without going the street. So I'm happy at least there's a possibility the Azimio side can bring about change without necessarily having to go to the streets. Yeah, that is possible.
But the same Azimio side said that the only language that the government understands is this demonstration.
No,
sort of
that's
pressure.
wrong.
That is.
The government understands demonstration as force. Force doesn't have to come from the streets. So far, what has happened in this country so far, I'm not an expert in that line, but so far, what is in the hands of the public and Azimio is enough to force the government into sitting down and talking about this country. You don't need to go to the streets. There is enough evidence in terms of transgressions and violations and brutality and all those kind of things put together, which if you table properly before the government, they can see that there's need to save this country.
Do you then think that perhaps that is the kind of argument, or rather the thinking that these people have, that they are no longer going to the streets, they're going to document this and go your direction?
And that's why I've always told people in this country, this includes the government, they don't understand Raila Odinga. No. This guy is always many steps ahead of us.
Okay.
If they wait until Raila uses all his strategies, they may discover when it is too late that running government is no longer tenable, and remaining in power may become an illusion. Because they don't understand Raila Odinga. He can see them making the blunders they are making. And if he uses those blunders correctly, he can break their wings. Break them, kabisa.
Okay.
Yes.
So are you trying to say that perhaps Raila has actually succeeded in laying a trap for the president?
These are not experienced politicians. Juvenile, inexperienced politicians dealing with Raila. So that the only person in that team with the capacity to understand Raila is Ruto. The rest of those people don't have the capacity. They are so juvenile in politics, so junior. And if they influence the president's thinking and if they give the president unnecessary courage, they will make blunders, costly blunders. That's why I've been insisting the president should deal with Raila. Because the people around the president don't have the experience to understand Raila. They don't have the experience. And the way this thing is going, it's, in my view, is not going in the right direction. First of all, for the country, the demonstrations, I'm very happy they were called off. The demonstrations were leading us into anarchy. And I've repeated, and I want to repeat here, the government does not have the capacity to crush the demonstrations. The fatalities we are witnessing is evidence enough that the government cannot stop demonstrations without shooting itself in the foot. Because a government cannot turn on its own citizens. The police cannot use bullets bought by the taxes paid by the people to use the same bullets on the people. You see, so that route is not viable. No, it's not viable. Neither can you manage anything using that route. So, and therefore, the best way, in my view, would be for the president to ignore these juvenile politicians around him and deal with Raila directly. It will be the simplest thing for the president. The simplest thing. Even if people will say, oh, Raila has come out on top, so the president is weaker, he has blinked fast, but he will remain the president of the Republic of Kenya with all the powers of president, commander-in-chief, all the powers intact. He will offend a few people. The people who drive their power and privilege, and whatever power and privilege brings to you, who drive that power by the president being president. So they think any discussion between the president and Raila Odinga will erode their proximity to the president and therefore wash away their privilege and power. It is as simple as that. And the president must have the presence of mind and the courage to bite the bullet and deal with the situation in a manner it's supposed to be dealt with, which is the simplest. People can call you names, people will be annoyed, but you'll be the president of the Republic of Kenya until 2027 with full powers of president. It's as simple as that. By simply talking. They say, why must you talk to him? One man, one man. No, it's not one man. Raila is about the issues that are affecting this country. It's not Raila. There are issues representing this country. Raila sometimes is a symbol of, symbolizes those, represents those issues, stands up for those issues, fights for those issues, brings those issues to surface, voices those issues more than anybody else, articulates them. But the issues, Raila and the issues are quite separate. You get it? So that even if you removed Raila from the equation, you have not stopped hunger, have you? Just because you have dealt with Raila. Those who are saying we want to deal with it, supposing they dealt with Raila in a stupid manner, they think. Have you dealt with the hunger facing Kenyans? No. Have you dealt with the political question? There will still be issues after the next general election. And the country will continue losing 2 years in every 5 years. Have we settled now? We haven't settled. 1 year is gone. Is it gone?
Yeah, of course, 1 year is gone.
The president has not been doing his work the way he should because of these political issues. Okay? And I said, didn't I say it last year?
You said it.
I said. So 1 year is over completely. We went to elections on the 9th of August last year. As we speak today, we are on the 26th day of July. And therefore, in another 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, 1 year is gone. The president has not been having his hands on the job because he must deal with fighting fires from the opposition.
Okay. So Prof, why do you say that by dealing with the protest as he did recently, the government has actually shot itself on the foot?
Yeah, you come out with an ugly face. You come out with rotten egg on your face. Yeah, the image is circulating in the world. You cannot convince anybody in the world today that Kenya is doing well. They'll tell you no. I mean, people have to be honest with the president. Forget about this opinion poll saying 70+ percentage of Kenyans think the country is going in the wrong direction. You can say these are the same opinion polls that said Raila was winning and he didn't. I know you can dismiss them. But generally, that is the mood in the country. That people in the country are not very happy, including those who voted for you. A good number of them are not happy. Because hunger has no respect for anything. You cannot philosophize You cannot table your love for your leader instead of anger. Hunger will tell you no. Love your leader, but please take care of my stomach. The stomach will say no. So you understand that? So the best way, if you ask me, is for the president to understand that the situation is bad, number one. And if you go into the details, even the way the demonstrations are being managed, only the president and these people are convinced it is being managed in the right way. But the world is not convinced. The international media is not convinced. The Kenyan media is not. You can see Kenyan media is Azimio. But Azimio does not own CNN. Okay? I talk to international media. I try to tell them that things are not as bad as they are putting it. They want me to say Kenya is on fire. I tell them, no, things are bad, but not what you want them to look like. So the international media, the international organizations, including UN-related, you've seen the Kenya Human Rights Commission. You can dismiss it. Alfred Mutua can come and dismiss it. But that's how the world is viewing us.
That's how the world is viewing us.
You get it?
Yeah, I get you.
And any honest and sensible Kenyan, any honest and sensible Kenyan will tell you, as a country, we can't go in that direction.
Okay.
Is that not true?
That's
Anybody just looking at the way our riots take place, both from the rioters themselves and the police and the pronouncements from the Interior CS Kindiki and the police. Any honest Kenyan, honest and reasonable will tell you no. That's not how you can run a country. That's not how a country should behave. Because we are dancing around a fuel tank and we are smoking and we are lighting fires. It's not correct.
So you're therefore saying that these people should not be celebrating that they dealt with their...
Somebody was saying, why did you cancel the Wednesday? We wanted to deal with you. That's so bad. Another one says, you canceled because you knew we were prepared for you. Prepared? How can you be prepared? What's wrong with these people? How can your preparedness be about dealing with your own people?
Okay.
But there are bigger dangers. There are bigger dangers that these people must open their eyes to. Things we cannot just say on air. There are bigger dangers. When I see, I look at those riots and the way they are being managed, I look at the police, the way they are, I look at different things, I say, pale iko hatari.
Well, there you have it. And they've said that at least right now, even without going to the streets, these people have got enough case already upon which they got enough material upon which they can build their case and present.
Basically, to make a point, to put across a point, this is not how we can go as people.
Can we expect them?
This is our country. With this, please, Mr. President and your team, even you can agree that we cannot move as a country in the manner we are moving, in the direction we are moving. So can each of us bite the bullet? Can each of us calm down so that we avoid this?
Okay. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is a conversation here with Professor Herman Manyora. Definitely, we are looking at the latest steps by the Azimio One Kenya La Umoja coalition to actually suspend, or rather decide to suspend their planned demonstrations. As you are aware, they were supposed to be happening this week starting on Wednesday, but that has not come to pass, and instead they've gone and decided to stage some sort of a vigil in commemoration of all those people who lost their lives due to what they call police brutality during the demonstrations in the past. We are yet to see whether this kind of approach will yield any fruit. But then we are still here on the ground. We are still hoping and praying that peace will prevail in this country. Do not fail to tune into programs that will be coming up next. Of course, Gerald Kabiru will always be here, as well as Richard Mwenja and Brian Mundia will always be there on the ground, tackling people's opinions on whatever it is that is taking place in this country and beyond. Stay tuned for some of the episodes that will be coming up next. Till we have this conversation again, have yourself a lovely day. My name is Evans Okinyi.